tonight as they face elimination in their series with the Celtics. So it's going to come down to KD and Kyrie to try to save the Nets season. So far, they're 0 for 3 trying to do that against this Celtics defense. Here is Kyrie Irving following the Nets Game 3 loss on Saturday. Remember, KD gets caught ball watching Game 1. They could have won. Game 2, 17-point collapse. They lose Game 3. Here is Kyrie after the game.
We're all just trying to gel, and usually you're gelling around the right time, and that team in the other locker room is gelling at the right time. They've been gelling since Christmas. So for us, we're just in a new experience as a group, and we just got to respect that and just bring everything we can to this next game and just do one possession at a time. I don't want to be too cliche, but I don't have a lot of answers for how you make up time, from October until now.
The drama, people suing me. I'm on TV talking like it's you and me. No, Kyrie. No, Kyrie. You're not on TV talking like it's you and me. You keep that talk to your locker room. I don't need to hear any excuses, bro. And I love Kyrie. I've said before, he's one of the most dynamic scorers the game of basketball has ever seen, period.
You're trying to argue he might be the best player in basketball.
But this is tone deaf, man. This is completely tone deaf. The fact that you made a decision that I backed for a vaccination purpose. I backed you on it, fine. But because of that, there are things that happen because of your own decision. James Harden, the chemistry falls. You guys are number 1 in the East. KD gets hurt. You can't play. You're only allowed to play half the games here and there on the road. James Harden decides, screw this, I'm not with it. I'm out of here because I wanted a full team. He dips. Kevin comes back. Now you're in the 7th seed. Now you're on the verge of being swept. I don't want to hear you sit up here, even though it's the right thing to say with your teammates internally, that we don't have the continuity. We don't have chemistry. I get all that, but bro, coming from you, I can't hear that publicly, Key. I can't. That's tone deaf. It's dumb to me. Why even say that to begin with? Just keep it internal, man.
Well, I think what he was trying to explain is the fact that with him missing time, the chemistry is thrown off. But much like you said, though, part of that missing time is his own undoing. That was on him. He made the decision, which, again, it goes back to his vaccination status at the time when they wouldn't allow him to play basketball games in the arena. First, he couldn't play at all. Then it became basketball in the arena. Then it became basketball on the road only. And now, all of a sudden, in the end, he's able to play, but the chemistry isn't there. If this was a month from now, 2 months from now, it's a different conversation. But it's his own undoing. And I think he needs to recognize that and realize that. And I think he will. And you are absolutely right. It's a trickle-down effect. As I said a long time ago when James Harden made the decision that he wanted out of Boston, the reason is because he don't want to deal with that every other day. He didn't want to have to deal with the not knowing what the situation and status was going to be of Kyrie Irving in terms of playing. If Kyrie would have been available to them, James Harden would probably – I would bet James Harden would probably still be on this team.
And
that would be my bet.
This is why Key and I were on the same page about this. Jay, actually, you were on the other side, or at least temporarily. Early on, when he made the decision not to get vaccinated, right? You can support someone, especially if it's on a religious principle or something like that. You can support someone's choice to put their personal lives and beliefs ahead of their professional lives, but it could have an impact on their professional life, right? And that's what happened here, obviously. Everything you guys just mentioned, what kind of ripple effect did it have with James Harden, breaking up the team, now the hole they're in, all those things. And the fact is, like, if Kyrie would have said the following, this is less tone deaf. Look, we obviously don't have the same kind of chemistry other teams have, who've been playing together the whole time. And I realize a lot of that is the choice I made in my own personal life about vaccinations. Boom. And you know what? The fact is it has had an impact on my professional life, and I got to deal with it, and I got to answer to the guys in that locker room about it. No question.
But here's the twist, though.
Yeah, Evan, that would have been good, Max. But
hold on,
it's not realistic,
Evan,
right? He ain't going to say that.
Evan, come on the show. Tell me and tell everybody what you just said in my ear about, because I think context is very important. Because I asked Evan during the break, I'm like, hey, what was the question asked to Kyrie that would lead him to this place? Evan, what did you say?
Yeah, so he was asked, they said Blake Griffin was just in here, and Blake said that the spirit of the team is not where he thought it needed to be. Do you agree with that assessment?
So that's why he took it to that point. It was almost like, sometimes, Kid, I don't know if you ever felt this way. When you're in the locker room or you get asked a whole bunch of questions, you get hot about certain things. You're like, yo, it don't matter what they're going to ask me. I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about. And it felt like this was something where Kyrie prioritized, because coming off that about spirit, you're saying, yeah, our energy level, our defensive effort, all these things need to be better. You would address that about Blake Griffin, but he took it and he twisted it and he turned it like, oh, well, the continuity, our team chemistry, we haven't been able to be together. I'm like, well, it feels like you're being defensive, but you're one of the main reasons why you didn't develop that. And even though I know that's true, like, you should still come at it with the same kind of self-awareness, Max, because he is very self-aware. Then there are moments where I'm like, but you're not self-aware. I don't understand. Which one is it?
Here's one. You know how everyone always invokes MJ to say how some other player isn't good enough? Now I'm going to invoke MJ, and I'm sure after I do this, other people will use this example, but I'm going to do it, where it hurt the team, okay? When he retired from basketball, this is how hard it is to do what KD and Kyrie are trying to do. When MJ retired from basketball the first time after three-peating, he went to play baseball. That didn't work out, right? He got to AA, and that was his limit. He hadn't played in a long time or whatever. Okay. He comes back to the NBA. I want to say this was the second year he was absent, and I want to say he played like 28 games. That's off the top of my head, something like that, less than half a season. Never really got all the way back, didn't have his basketball legs. The Bulls, with MJ and Pippen and everyone, got beaten in the playoffs. When I always say he never didn't win in under 7 games, that was the one time they didn't, because he really didn't have his legs. In other words, it wasn't really MJ. Then the next year they swept Orlando, who had beaten them, and they beat a 64-win team in the finals in under 7 games. But it's so hard to do what these guys are trying to do. MJ, Michael Jordan, in his prime, right? Came back 28 games and lost in the playoffs, the only time he ever did when he was crewed up. These guys have not had continuity. Kyrie has not played a full season. Now at the 11th hour, they're trying to get it all together against a great defensive team like the Celtics. It is hard to do what they are doing. But Kyrie should at some point publicly address the fact that it is what his personal choices have resulted in this professional situation.
It just feels like this is a cluster fill in the blank, right? This is what it is. And like to even take it a step further, Key.
Cluster umbrella, a cluster.
It just feels a little, Key, like take it a step further. You got the Steve Nash stuff as relates to coaching, which I've been on for the whole year. You got the Ben Simmons situation where he's wearing New York Knicks colors on the sideline.
Man, stop, Jay.
Stop. Key, it's all of it combined.
Oh,
it's all of it
stop
combined.
with the colors.
You got the whole thing about him going to play, he doesn't play. You got Kyrie saying this. And then here's the biggest thing, Key, that I want to get your opinion on. I don't think I've ever seen a superstar become so small in a big moment. Bruce Brown took 19 shots in a must-win Game 3 for the Brooklyn Nets. He took 19 shots. He took exponentially more shots than Kevin Durant, a guy that we said is the greatest scorer in the world. So then that leads me on the conversation. I'm like, I've never seen a player become so small in that. Like it almost like KD was human. And that's what Boston made him seem. He's superhuman in every other aspect, but in that, he became human. And I think that was the most shocking thing that I noticed throughout this whole thing. You said last week, oh, he gonna come back, he gonna drop big game 3.
Didn't.
Isn't that's when a team knows, Key, that they can mentally cripple you?
Jay.
When a team knows they can mentally cripple you? Yes. Isn't that so isn't that shocking?
Yeah, what about that, Key?
Yes.
They didn't respond. I was shocked, too, in 3 games now.
As I would do my press conference, I would say I certainly thought that this team would have responded, including Kevin Durant. It didn't happen. We got to look forward to Game 4, and hopefully we don't get swept, and we can pick up some momentum from there. That's what I would say. But he did not play nearly at the level that I would think anybody anticipated. The first 2, he gave you the second half of the first game, the first half of the second game. He disappeared the second half, and then now in the third game, I don't have any
know what his problem
words for it. It's not, look, man, Kevin Durant is still, if I'm picking 5 dudes right now on the floor, he's going to be the first one he's going to probably be the first one out the locker room for me.
Probably.
Well, I mean, yeah, because I'll still take LeBron and Giannis and KD will probably be there and Steph will be there and maybe there's Tatum. And
Here's the problem now, though, guys. LeBron, when he had the title, was undisputed for years and years. He was the best player in the game, period. And it was supposed to be KD's turn. He's not undisputed. At best, he has a little bit of a claim to some people, whatever. So does this guy, so does that guy. And here's what's worse to me.
But
Could
was
you
LeBron
imagine?
undisputed, though, Max,
Yeah,
after
for
the
years.
Dallas game?
No. He wasn't undisputed until he won his championship, right? When he got back, when he got to Miami, the second season in Miami, it was like, that's the best player in the game. And he didn't give that up till recently, okay? What I'm saying now about KD is he just lost with Kyrie on the. Could you imagine LeBron getting swept
But it's
with
not,
Kyrie
it's
on
not
his team?
being
But it's
swept.
not fair, though, man. It's not fair to try to go ahead, Jay, man.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
It's not fair to do that.
The legacy of KD is
fair
still
or not.
intact to me because the guy's a multi-time championship. But those championships did come with Steph, right? So this is him on his own team. Key, the most shocking thing is, I said it again,
Yeah, it is on his own team.
the having a team mentally cripple you to the degree that the Celtics have done to KD, that's the most shocking thing because you're looking at him saying, you're the best player in basketball. How mentally do you get there?
KD went and did a courageous thing to me, went to Brooklyn to form his own thing, not to coattail ride the Warriors. Hard to do. And he's finding out just how hard to have your own team and take that team to a championship. Meantime, the Bulls were tripped up by the Bucks, so to speak, in Game 4 and now face elimination. That's next, ESPN Radio and ESPN2.